Let's talk about this would have been 2-point conversion, tying game, do or die situation. I think a minute and 6 seconds was left out on the clock. And ultimately, Mike Tomlin calls a timeout, Sarah, before the Ravens can get this play snapped, which, as he shared yesterday in his post-game press conference, gave him somewhat of an idea for what was coming.
Point conversion at the end, what was going through your mind at that point?
I wanted to see what structure they were in and call a timeout, and we did that. And thankfully, we even saw some of the semblance of the schematics of what they intended to run. I think that made them change and go the other direction. And obviously, particularly Mr. Jackson is a little bit less dangerous when he's going to his left than his right. And so we're thankful for that.
What were your thoughts on that?
I feel like it's another iteration of Mike Tomlin outcoaching the Ravens coaches.
Yeah.
And I mean, he just seems so in control at the end of these games. And so just to be clear, because a lot of people took this to mean, oh, all the Ravens did was run the exact same play and go the other direction. As one person said to Jeff Zrebeck. And Jeff, the broadcast, what people were saying in the locker room, all of that, he says, Jeff is like, well, wasn't the play before a Jackson run up to the line of scrimmage and then throw a pop-up pass? That's at least what I saw. But maybe my eyes deceived me. That's certainly what the Steelers said it was. Not sure the relation to that and the QB run to the left. So Mike Tomlin saying he got a good idea of the basic structure they wanted to be in, but it does not mean that they were going to run the exact same play to the right.
You know what, too, Sarah? The player perspective might help on this as well. And Patrick Queen was asked about it. So you had the coaching perspective there from Tomlin. And here's PQ post-game.
For that 2-point conversion, can you walk us through your mindset against a versatile player like that?
Yeah, we seen how they came out. I think it was tackle over. Justice was in the backfield. He was wide. I think Mark Andrews was to my side too. And they ran quick this way to try to get everybody flowing. And Lamar was running up to the line of scrimmage. I think he was about to do a jump pass, but I can't remember to who. Yep. Maybe the guy who reported eligible. And then we called a timeout. We just understood, like, everybody just do their job. We ain't got to do nothing spectacular. Just go out there and just get a play and make a stop. And Joy, who usually be the most quiet one, was sitting there like, we stopping them. They're not scoring this 2-point conversion. So that was huge. And hearing him actually gave everybody some confidence to go out there and get that stop.
Okay, so that's right. So it was going to be a jump play. It was not the exact play, but to the left instead of the right. So good on PQ. That's what was going on there. Still, though, the timeout helped them.
Yeah.
Now, as much as Tomlin did a good job of getting the timeout, the execution on this play was absolutely horrendous. Now, remember, yesterday we talked about it a bit. We're like, are you sure there wasn't a pass going on here? Yada, yada, yada. After listening to all the players, after listening to the pressers and what was in locker room, it was for sure a QB run to the left. For once, Emmanuel Acho and I had a good Twitter exchange this morning, Bobby. He put up a breakdown of what happened on the 2-point conversion. And, I retweeted it talking about the blown blocking assignments, which we're going to play here in just a second. And then, he was saying, based off of my tweet yesterday, he's like, I saw yesterday you tweeted and thought that Lamar was trying to pass it. He goes, I think Lamar was just trying to do a pump fake to get people off of him to do something on his own. So last time Emmanuel Acho and I had a Twitter exchange, we were disagreeing for days. It was about whether or not, remember, Lamar had set up as a left-handed quarterback to throw off the Dolphins and then move to the right. So we fought all day long. But today we were agreeing. Here is his breakdown. The blocking on this is atrocious, and it starts before the play with Isaiah Likely and Nelson Aguilar arguing over who was supposed to line up where.
Hey, the Ravens' 2-point conversion play was over before it started. Number one, watch Nelson Aguilar and Likely trying to figure out who's going to line up where. Likely's like, hey, bro, I'm on the line of scrimmage. Aguilar's like, hey, chill. Likely slaps his hand off of him. Now, here's the other dilemma. Likely has to work with the tackle to work on this defensive end, and then Likely has to work up to the linebacker. Aguilar has to aggressively block this outside linebacker so that the offensive lineman can pull and block JPJ, Joey Porter Jr., who inevitably makes a tackle. Now, Lamar, he's snapping it while Likely's still messing with his mouthpiece. First, let's take a look at Likely. Okay, Likely, you're supposed to double and you need to work up to here. Likely won't end up doing that. Aguilar, you have to aggressively block this outside backer so that these two pulling linemen have a clear train to come out here and kick out, knock out Joey Porter Jr. so Lamar can waltz into the end zone. Okay, Nelson, he gets blown up, but he wasn't really going to win versus an outside backer. Now the two pulling linemen, they can't pull around. So now Lamar got to try to beat this dude by himself. Keep in mind, Likely, you supposed to double to this backer. You just looking around confused. Aguilar, because he didn't necessarily seal the outside backer, now these linemen can't pull for JPJ, and over before it started.
Yep.
Yeah. He was,
And then Sarah, earlier today, can we rewind that for 1 second?
Oh,
It doesn't
sure.
need to be. It can be paused when we.
Hey,
do
the
that,
Ravens
but,
2-point.
or muted when we do that. So when some people online were like, Tomlin was wide open. Well, wait a second. Wait till the play develops. I mean, maybe right when Lamar gets it, Tomlin would have waltzed in. But wait till this play develops. Everybody is covered on this play. It was sunk from the very beginning, like he said. And Isaiah was useless on this play.
he didn't do anything.
Look at him. He's in no man's land.
He didn't do
That's tough. That's just
And listen, I don't know what the assignments were, but to me, I feel much better about my tight end blocking Nick Herbig, a massive defensive end one-on-one versus Nelson Aguilar, your wide receiver. So I don't know exactly what was told to whom, but I know that I would feel better about Isaiah Likely doing that. So once Nelly got pushed back, I mean, Linderbaum said it. He said, me and Pat McCary are supposed to get around on pull blocks. We just got caught up. Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Because Nelson Aguilar got blown up.
Right.
And Tyler says stuff happens, play of the game, just how the D ends are playing. It's a tough block for the receiver there. So he's saying it. That's a mismatch right there.
Totally.
So instead of swiping away Nelson Aguilar's hand, I feel better about Nelson double teaming somebody and then going up to get a linebacker rather than the defensive end. So that was, I mean, literally, like everybody's blocking assignment is blown. And to your point, like you said, Tylan Wallace, some people are saying he's open, or even Mark Andrews. There is no way in Hades, even Lamar Jackson with his cape on, I don't see how he could have completed that. He had the ball in his left hand for a minute. Like he was just trying to do a pump, try to get the defenders to jump so that maybe he could still find a way to wiggle into the end zone.
Yeah. No,
and he was like, Todd Monken, rip it up, burn it, throw it in the trash can. Don't ever want to see that play again. But Bobby, one more thing on this idea. So the execution was horrendous. The decision to not have Derrick Henry out there, in Rex Ryan's words, was criminal. But I want to point out that wasn't the only place that Tomlin outsmarted the Ravens. Okay. Because on the very next drive, let's remember what happened. So the Steelers come out, they hand off to Najee Harris. All they got to do, because the Ravens have 3 timeouts, they just got to get 1 first down. So Najee Harris gets stopped like he had been all day. Rush defense playing great. I think he maybe gained a yard or 2. So now they have a second down. And Baltimore correctly calls a timeout because you have to stop the clock. You got to stop the clock to try to get the ball back if you can get 3 stops. So the Ravens call a timeout, and what do you know what Mike Tomlin does? He switches his quarterback. So in comes Fields. Have a great play where Fields should have had the first down, but he slid a yard short. Okay, so it's a gift. So Ravens call a timeout again to stop the clock. And now it's 3rd and 1. And Mike Tomlin sends Russell Wilson back there on 3rd and 1. They're in the huddle. They get lined up. Then last second before the snap, Tomlin now got an idea of the Ravens' preferred defensive package, calls a timeout. Like, so no harm, no foul, because the clock was already stopped. So he calls a timeout, had the defense ready for Russell Wilson, but he sends back in Fields again.
Yeah.
And then they're able to convert. Like, Mike Tomlin, 1,000% should be in the running for Coach of the Year. And he 1,000% was like, Listen, I love John Harbaugh and the culture he sets up at the Ravens. It's phenomenal culture. I think that's undeniable. But I'm trying to remember the last time where you're like, dang, John Harbaugh just outsmarted the guy across from him. Like down in crunch time when it mattered. You know what I mean? Instead, it's more like you're using timeouts at the wrong time or, this and that. And it's just like, and last week, not Mike Tomlin. What was the iconic meme? It was him, got him when he got the Commanders to go off and have an offsides on 4th down. And it's like, you just want to see that more often from like John is a phenomenal head coach. He has put together a phenomenal team and he's got a great culture, but when it counts, he's got to outsmart the Mike Tomlins and Andy Reids of the world. He's got to. Like, as much as we talk about Lamar, and it's not like Lamar is like he played fine. He didn't like do anything spectacular. You're obviously going to have some people like Nick Wright who are, blaming him. And again, like Lamar didn't take things over. He played into the narrative that's already there, right? So he's not completely blameless, but also like, can we just be smarter with our game plans? Like this was the point of bringing in Derrick Henry. You can see Nick Wright, coming at him.
Oh, he's just big. Yeah. These tweets right here are essentially just noting, aside from Pittsburgh and Kansas City, the guy's just a wizard, and he becomes below average, subpar when facing the Steelers and Chiefs. He's 3-9. He's 66-19 against the rest of the league, and he's 3-9 against Pittsburgh and Kansas City.
It's crazy, and like they have here, it is undeniable. And so as much though as that's why I was happy to hear that it wasn't just like, oh, it's Lamar can't overcome these guys. It's Lamar and the coaches and the team for sure. And so I want to see Harbaugh outsmart Tomlin and Reid in these games. And Harbaugh will have another chance in Baltimore against Tomlin. And then if everything goes right, he might have another chance against Reid. Like it's just as much as on the head coach and the offensive coordinator as it is the quarterback.